And here we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome in. It's Friday night. We are live streaming straight to you. Joe is finally back from his trip. Hi, Joe. You muted, donk.
Hi, how are you?
All right.
Hey, you're muted half the time too, so.
I wasn't muted on Wednesday night, though.
All right. Well, I was, because I was on a train that was delayed by these thunderstorms we've had in the Northeast and by my scafoozery, missing my earlier train. But life goes on. We'll get there at the end.
We'll get there, I promise. Well, let me welcome some folks in here, Joseph, while you scafooze around a little bit.
All right.
Our buddy Roger, #1, gold medal. Hell yeah, let's effing go.
Hey, Roger.
What? Welcome in, Roger. And he comes in and gets the silver and gold, too. No, it doesn't count like that, Roger. Sorry. Yeah, it is awesome cover art. Trey coming in with the silver medal. What's up, Trey? Welcome, sir. He's going to have to catch the replay at the Shreveport Hospital. Oh, man. Well, definitely. Prayers up for Trey, everybody, in the chat. Hopefully your dad is on the mend and gets through this, man. Sorry to hear that. South to West, earning the bronze. The bronze gonads, South to West. What's up? Tiny, just missing it. Just a bit outside.
Hey, Tiny.
Welcome in, Tiny. Lovely to see you here. Oh, there's Skafuza JB Martin in the chat.
Yeah. Prayers to your dad.
Mike, the library man. What's up, Mike?
Mike.
Zendar. What's up, Zendar? Welcome in, buddy. Steve-O. Evening, matey peeps. What's up, buddy? The D-Dubs, Derek Ward in the house. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
See you later. That's okay. As long as you watch at some point. He busy up in the house. Mm-hmm. Go Habs.
Yes, that would be the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes. And not Skafuza New York Rangers.
No, they are way out of it. Didn't even make the playoffs.
Mr. Schwindeman, Derek, what's up, buddy? Another sunny day in Florida. Happy to have you here. Toopsy up in the house from down under. Shouting out Raja, a.k.a. Lee Harold Oswald, the generator of our theme song and theme music here at the Lone Gunman Podcast. Everybody give their props to Roger, because he's a fucking man. Owen. What's up, Owen? Evening all from sunny England. Well. Yeah, you're up late tonight, buddy. So thank you. James Smith up in his house. Damn, catching us on the replay too. Busy prepping the battle space for the grandkids. Hey, that's more important.
It's a bit. Yeah, it's a busy, start to the Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of people are traveling or have other obligations. Yeah.
Get it in when you can. And Peach Sisters Kitchen, happy Friday evening to you as well. Paul and Ichi up in the house. What's up, Paul? Hi, chow made fun today. Nothing like a little Japanese in your belly. Oh, hey, it's our James Files supporter, Chris. What's happy to have you back, sir?
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Even though you hate us, hopefully you enjoy the show. There's gonna be a lot of Joe bashing tonight, so stay tuned. Sally. All right, muckers. Joe said he loves your new picture there, Sally.
Oh,
Old. And Aunt Udine. What's up? So let's go on the hot rails of hell. It's gonna be wet, slippery, in Galveston this week. Yes, sir, it will. You have no idea. All right, Joe, that's everybody that's either here or going to be here for now. But
all right.
so let's get into it, your trip a little bit. How was your trip? I've never taken like an Amtrak or anything anywhere. So how was your trip down from the lovely north, the Yankee state of Connecticut, into the almost dirty south of Maryland?
Yeah, is it past the Mason-Dixon line?
It is not. They are
No.
considered northerners.
All right.
Virginia, or no, I take that back. They are considered as part of the South. The Mason-Dixon line is Pennsylvania.
Okay. I knew it was one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did come to the dirty, well, not the dirty South, but the South.
Yeah, it was kind of seamless trip down for sure. I trained out at about Sunday morning, mid morning. Got there close to
Well, back
four.
up for a second. Just explain to me how how the train trip goes. Is it set up something like an airplane trip where you have a stewardess, or is there a pisser in every car? Can you eat on there? I mean, give me some nuance here.
Okay, so there's no stewardesses really. I mean, there are like attendants that come by and check your ticket, and like they might get some trash once in a while.
Did you have a
Uh,
private car?
no,
Oh,
I actually couldn't get a seat right away, so I had to go in the silent car, which is like where you can't make any noise. And it was pretty good for the first couple hours. I didn't have any.
that would not have gone well in the silent car.
No, but I had my headphones in, and I didn't have any scafoozas next to me for at least the first 2 hours, and then I had like two different scafoozas next to me for the next few hours. It's like 4.5, 4:45 down. Wasn't bad. Trained to New Carrollton, Maryland, which is about 20 minutes from the hotel we were staying at. It was fine. I mean, the seats were fine. And, there is a beverage and food car. There is bathrooms every train or two, whatever you call them. I kind of just locked into the laptop and prep, and it kind of went by pretty quickly. Definitely better than the way back. That's what I'll say. But
You arrive in New Carrollton, Maryland, lovely New Carrollton.
yes,
And then what do you got to do? You got to Uber to, are you staying at an Airbnb or are you staying at a hotel, legit hotel?
we're staying at a legit hotel. I'll have a picture of that in the PowerPoint, and it was nice. I think I bullshitted with the Uber driver about Nara.
Who was your Uber driver? Male or female?
It was male. It was like Emil, Amal,
What
Maha-
ethnicity?
Muhammad. Who the hell knows?
Middle
Uh,
Eastern?
Something like that. Yeah, or it might have been Hispanic actually. Uh,
A Hispanic named Muhammad.
no, I mean it was Marcos. Man, so I took like 8 Uber rides because I was only originally planning to stay Sunday night and Monday night, and then leaving Tuesday night. I ended up extending it for a night, but because of the U of M, University of Maryland graduation, the rate tripled to $450 a night. Your boy's not paying $450 a night. It was a nice hotel, but it's not that nice. I could take a trip to the Bahamas or see Sally with that type of rate. So I found another hotel, which I had to check out of my first hotel on Tuesday morning and go to the new hotel. Or I left my luggage at the concierge. Checked in after Monday or after Tuesday. I'm sorry, and it was only like $200 a night. So it was a lot of Ubering back and forth. So I took like 10 different Ubers.
So
It
what
was,
time did you get there on Sunday?
I got there at about to the hotel at about 4 p.m. I checked in.
Yeah.
I unpacked a couple things. Then I get a call from Andrew Eiler, who kind of spearheaded this journey and was the leader of us in a sense and the coordinator. He goes, "I'm at the restaurant bar downstairs." And I'm like, "All right, I'll come down." Twist my arm. And we, I spent a lot of time with him at Lancer and this past November, and really chill guy. And we had a bunch of apps, a couple drinks, and waited for Mark and his very nice girlfriend to show up, which would have been like 2 or 3 hours later. So you can imagine how that played out.
Oh, he brought his lady friend, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they were on a separate trip, but she flew back the next morning, I believe. But then, of course, we bullshitted some more as Mark came in, and Mark is an amazing, chill guy. We had a bunch of laughs. We had a bunch of laughs with everyone. And then we're waiting for the other two Canadians to come in. And again, so we have 5 people on storming the archives. 3 of them are Canadian.
And that would be Paul Blow and his brother Peter.
John.
Oh, sorry.
John. And so we go back up to the rooms for a second, get our scanners, and then we do a scanner check. Exciting stuff.
And what did you use to check your scanners?
Well, I have some pictures of this, but
Did you put the
essentially,
ball sack in there and,
no.
no?
It was like a check-in paper or some receipt or something. I got so frustrated trying to install the drivers for the scanner that I said I gave up on Saturday, and my girlfriend had to actually do it. And she actually did a little note that says E hearts J and scanned it, and it went to my desktop, a folder on my desktop. So I was like, all right, I'm good. Well, come 10 p.m., scanner check, my drivers aren't working, and we had to reinstall, and it might have took like 45 minutes. So Andrew's going around to us 4, the other 4, helping each of us set up our scanners, because the last thing you want is to get to the archives and have a problem, right? So I have a funny picture of Andrew with his like hand in his face, like, oh my god. But he really did an amazing job getting us preparated and with our advanced pull requests. So you can just go to the archives and say, I want this, I want that, but you have to have record group numbers, you have to have folder numbers. RIF numbers aren't enough unless you go up to the head JFK archivist on the 3rd floor and talk to him and get him to locate them. So it's a process, but he helped me out with that a lot. And by Monday morning, when I got there, my cart, which we'll see in a little bit, was ready for me with my boxes. So he really did it. Andrew did a great job of getting us all prepared, and it was not an easy task because it was pretty much most of our first times to the archives, and they do not make it easy. Okay, and I think they knew we were coming, or if not, then they were definitely their spidey senses went up once we got there. Because I don't think 5 JFK researchers with scanners and all this stuff come in at once and overwhelm them. We de-
Probably not.
well, I know this because we got management's attention, and they were down by us a lot, and we had what we call the walkers. Okay, so these are people that walk the circle around the room and give you shit for every little infraction. Oh, look, a corner of your page is on your laptop, or a corner of your page is on your charger cord. And I get it, you know. I guess they could come go on fire or something. I don't know, but they were hovering. They were paying attention to us, and it was, I didn't know what to expect, man. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't have like a visual. Yeah, I have the picture I'll show in the PowerPoint in a minute. You're pretty much going through airport security every time you go in and out, right? You're getting wanded down, everything like that. You have to scan your little research card every door you go through. It's something, man.
It's called a government building, Joe. Welcome.
Yeah. Well. So
So did each one of you have somebody assigned to you, or was just one person like generally taking care of all of you?
yeah. So the shifts shifted, for lack of a better term. It wasn't just any one person assigned to us. It was just they're walking around and they're shifting. There was one guy who was kind of, I guess, assigned to us, and he kind of gave us his card and was trying to be helpful. Of course, it was also semi stonewalling, if you know what I mean. Then you had the next level person up, I guess, come and visit us at least twice a day, see what we were up to. And then you had another BSD, I guess, on the top floor, come down and Andrew's just given him like the whole 9 yards of how they're not really oh they're not really following the law with the ARB and JFK Records Act, and it was funny. It was funny. I love Andrew. He has no chill. I mean, not that he's not chill. He's very chill, but he didn't let up on them, and I respect that a lot.
So how many hours a day, like Monday and Tuesday, were you in there? Like
We were in there 8 hours a day,
they closed at what, 5 or whatever?
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
So from open to close, Monday and Tuesday, and half a day Wednesday.
Yes.
So how many documents do you think you were able to scan in that amount of time while you were there?
Probably about 2,000.
Joe Blunt Jr.
It makes me really respect what Malcolm Blunt did, and I don't know what the processes were when he was there, but man, it was by Monday at 3 p.m. I was like, I was like Dunzo for the day, but Andrew's like, keep going, Joe, keep going.
Well, I think he had back then that you had to use a copier or copiers that were in there in the archives, and I'm pretty sure like everything cost like a dime, like back in the 90s, because
I
there weren't
believe
there
it.
like portable printers back then. Like I couldn't take my you know my fat ass copier / printer in there with me and plug it in and just go to town for free. Back in the 90s, you remember even like printers for computers didn't really use that kind of paper like a copier machine. It was more like they were on like a roll or something. So I think there was a copier machines back then. They cost like 10 cents each copy. So you just feeding money. I mean, I'm sure Malcolm's pockets are full of fucking dimes. And he's like, ching, ching. I'm sure it's a workout back then for him.
I don't doubt it at all. And I mean, it was even a workout just doing it. I mean, obviously, they probably didn't have the digitized, like, put the scanner up to your computer and then it goes into a folder in your computer back then. But it was still a huge challenge for sure. Just to, because papers are stuck together. So the scanner is on a 10-second. Flip the paper. I sent you the video. And then you have to, if it's stapled, it's a whole other thing. And then, so I have a bunch of blank pages in my folders just because I didn't make the 10 seconds on time in a lot of cases. But I got much better at it as the days went on. And as I really started to kind of get my feel on, it was Wednesday and I had to leave, of course.
Just when you're getting into the groove.
Yeah. Toop said, "Are you ready to organize a TLG Nara expedition, JOEB?" Well, you'd have to convince Rob, but to that point, we kind of described this as like experiment, and maybe something could happen in the future where instead of 5 people, we have 10 or 15 kind of storming the archives in a peaceful way, not in a January 6th way or something. But
just walk in there, sunglasses on. Hope your boys got your running shoes on today.
right. And that's what I wanted to actually, you bring up a good point, Toops. So I guess I want to ask myself a question because I'm not really sure the answer. Because I've been to the last 3 Lancers, and Lancer is great. And I've met a lot of great and networked with a lot of great researchers there, whether it be Andrew and Mark or Larry Hancock, or you can go on and on. David Boylan. What is the best way forward in terms of, is it more efficient to go to the archives or to go to Dallas and make a talk? Because I know for us, Rob, when we presented, it was virtually, but I was there at the 60th, and we did a lot of great research and presented a lot of great research. It didn't really get out there that much.
No, we got 0 feedback.
Right.
Anybody at Lancer.
Right.
And that's if they could hear our presentation. Who knows?
Right.
Again, we can get on here twice, or every Friday night and do a conference presentation, if you will. We do.
Right.
And we can make it longer and more detailed, more visually appealing. And it doesn't cost anybody anything to watch. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy a ticket. You don't have to buy a plane ticket to get to Dallas. You can sit in your living room or sit on the toilet or whatever and watch us talk about things that we find, or new research or new analysis or new scenarios and things like that. So I have not been a fan of the whole conference scene in a long time. And I think, if you want to be a serious researcher, there's only so much you can do online. There's only so much online. There's only so many books you can read. And how do you know that those guys are doing the hard work and going to the archives and doing things the right way and this, that, and the other? Because to find new information, you need, like I said, I think 90% of those documents in NAR are not digitized and they're not online.
Correct.
And I guarantee 90% of those documents that are not digitized and not online, probably 80% of them have never been seen by anybody. Because again, it's hard to nail down a RIF number on a document, a records group on a document, and a box number on a document that you don't even know exists. I'm sure there's like a master list somewhere,
Hmm.
right? But I mean, there's millions of documents to go through.
Millions.
I mean, not one person can do that, in a lifetime. So, you know, if somebody has the time, the money, and the inclination to go to NARA, and like you said, you were there 2.5 days. You were able to scan about 2,000 documents, but you don't really have time to look at what you're scanning. Maybe you know on the surface, but you can't like sit there and read every document you're scanning.
Correct.
You just have to be like, okay, this is about so and so. Is it worth scanning? Yeah, or worth scanning? No, type of thing, right?
Right. And that's kind of the adjustment I made because I think at the first day I just kind of scanned away at a bunch of things. And on the second day, as I realized I only got through 3 out of my first 8 boxes on the first day, was like, okay, I'm going to like skim a little bit and see if this is worth scanning or not. Because I don't want to sit there. These folders are like this thick,
Yeah.
in some cases. And some of it was like HSCA correspondence, Blakey, request for something. Like, not saying that's not important, but it wasn't my goal. And so I made that adjustment, I think on on day two. But even, you could ask Andrew and Mark. On Tuesday, I came in and I was like super frustrated at something because I couldn't find the documents for some of the Martins I was looking into. And I was like, fuck this fucking bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And like, was so like frustrated. So it was eye opening. It was frustrating. It was, I think, productive. Not only for me, but for the other 4 people that were there. Of course, we haven't gone through what we've scanned yet because after 3 days of that, you're kind of JFK'd out a little bit. I don't know. But it was also fun. At every after every day, we go out to dinner, have a drink, talk about what we might have or might not have found. We had some good food, so it's also kind of about the camaraderie and Andrew and Mark obviously come from it from a very lawyerly standpoint.
But you know where else you met Andrew and Mark and Larry and David and right here on this show.
Yes, go back and check
You
them
didn't
out.
have to go to Dallas to meet them.
That's true.
You develop somewhat of a network when you start doing this thing, and you get in and you see who's really serious about shit and who's not, and who's full of shit and who's not. You know, there's a very that's why I just don't, or we just don't invite every scafuza in the world on the show because I'm a little more litigious when it comes to who we have come on the show and why we have them come on the show. And it's, you know, people that I think are doing good work, people that I respect, and it. I just don't. When you hit this tight little circle of and it's not very big, trust me.
Yeah.
Um, and some of these people with the biggest names, like everybody's, oh, why don't you have Jefferson Morley on your show? No, sorry, sorry, I don't think he does good work. He has maybe 30 years ago when he was riding John Newman's coattails with the Jane Roman thing, but you know, what have you done for me lately, sir? With the whole Joe Anides thing and the Russian documents and the Harvey thing, like Again, it's not hard to use a little common sense. You did not need an FAA credential to carry a gun on a plane in 1963. I could have done it. Joe could have done it. DB Cooper carried a bomb on the plane
Allegedly.
9 years after JFK was assassinated. And by the way, you don't have to show ID when you get on a plane back then. You just tell them your name. You could tell them, my name is William Walter or whatever, whoever you wanted to be. It's not hard to conceal a handgun in an underarm holster, in the small of your back, on your hip, wherever you want to carry, in your carry-on, in your briefcase, or whatever. They didn't check nothing. So this whole big thing about, needing using a false identity to travel and needing a permit from the FAA to carry a weapon and all this bullshit, it doesn't mean anything. Anybody can fly anywhere under any name with handguns. Back then, it didn't matter. So they're trying to make a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah, and that's the problem because it's a shrinking group of people that are actually serious. I mean, you had 3 people almost make 10-hour drives from Canada to come down here. I spent over $1,000 doing this. Spent eight hours a day scanning documents. It's not easy to go to the archives, and they don't really make it easy for you, of course, but you got to look in the right places and the right people that are at least making the effort, even if you don't agree with them or what they say or whatever.
Well, I think the people you went with are in the group that, are somewhat respectable and admired in the community for trying to do the right thing and move the case forward in their own ways. Again, we could sensationalize this show every week. Blowing the lid off the Kennedy assassination, exposing, whatever, new evidence in the JFK assassination, just to get people to sit here and come watch us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I found the smoking gun at the archives.
Yeah, but no, it's the train ride from hell because this is a reality, folks. But I guarantee you, if and when Joe goes through his documents that he scanned and he finds something very interesting, we're going to talk about it here on the show.
Yeah.
And we're going to be very honest about it. It's not going to be like, Joe finds smoking undocumented NARA uncovered, whatever the case may be. We're just not a sensationalized show like that. We're not going to make empty promises and unfulfilled, accolades and accusations, and that's just not our style. We don't serve nothing burgers here at the Lone Gunman Podcast Restaurant, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
No clickbait here, except for last week. With the James Files show.
Right.
It was an experiment.
Yeah. For sure. And
see how the algorithm treated us, and it treated us just the same as it always does. So it is what it is.
Yes, we are an acquired taste. We try to make people laugh as
we did draw some new haters, and apparently Chris came back. So hey,
yeah.
Hey, we'll take it.
What did I do, Sally? I didn't do anything. But yeah, do you want to get into some pictures?
Yeah, real quick though.
Okay.
Chris doesn't hate us, and look, we don't hate you.
No.
It's good to have a dialogue, and if everybody had the same opinion, it'd be a pretty fucking boring show. You know what I mean? The only thing we can do is come on here in the best of our ability and say why we don't think James Files is credible. Look, it's a fantastic story. He's a good storyteller. I'll give him that. But when it comes down to actual proof or any evidence of anything that he says, there's nothing there. That's the point. And when people try to prop him up like he's Jesus Christ stepping down out of heaven and is the answer to the truth about what happened in the Kennedy assassination, then I'm sorry, but I just don't buy the story. Now, if there was documents or a picture come out next week of a young James Files standing behind a grassy knoll fence with a fireball, well then kick me in the nuts and call me Sally, and I'll be right on board with you. I'll be riding. I'll be conducting the James Files train. You know what I mean? Same thing with Lee Harvey Oswald. You come out with a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald up in the 6th floor of the school book depository shooting Mannlicher or Carcano looking weapon, then you might change my mind. But until these things happen or we see, it's not that we can't disprove what can't be documented. It's that I can't buy into what can't be documented. And when you're dealing with people like Files who are in weird places, and you got to understand, Chris, that people are capable of lies and lying for whatever reason. There's tons of reasons, whether they're mentally fucking ill, or they want to be somebody they're not, or they think that they can parlay something into to a big payday or an early freedom. We just don't know his motivations, right? I mean, there was a lot of people trying to make money off of James Files' back and buying his story and trying to sell it as a book or a movie or whatever. And Wim Dankbar is still doing it to this day. He's gatekeeping the James Files story and the books and the articles and all this. And it's no different than Judy Baker. Again, she's a great storyteller. She has a fantastical story. It's like a romance novel come to life, with all the great bits. You know what I mean? But again, she's somebody that tells a fantastical story. And, she actually has more credibility than James Files. And I hate to say that, but at least Judith Baker was in New Orleans in 1963, and at least we can prove that she worked at the Riley Coffee Company at the same time as Oswald. Other than that, everything else is up in the air with Judith Baker. But those two things, at least there's that. We don't even have that with Files. We don't have any proof whatsoever that he was, for anything he says, other than how he got caught in 1991, and what he said, when he was in jail during these interviews. And if you look at his early interview from 94 and compare it to what he said in 2003 with the Jim Mars interview and the Wim Dankbar interview, there's a whole lot added, right? But again, you have 9 years to add a lot of shit. And when you start saying things like David Alley Phillips was my handler, I mean, come on, bro. Lee Harvey Oswald showed up at his hotel in Mesquite, Texas, driving a truck the week before the assassination, and was showing him around town. But he's supposed to be working at the school book depository. Now, what's your answer there? It was a double. I mean, one was Lee, one was Harvey. I mean, I don't know. That's always the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's not that. Look, there's a lot of people that have fantastical stories. There's lots of people who have claimed to be, things. I mean, even Beckham, he's got a fantastical story. He didn't say certain things in 1967 that he said in 1978 or 77. And then again, when he wrote his book in 2008, is he believable? No, because he has a history as a con man, right? But he's somebody that came out very early and made several claims And we do have a picture of someone that looks like him where he claimed to be when Oswald was handing out leaflets. Whether it's him 100%, no. I can't totally buy into the Beckham story, although it is intriguing. As much as I want to, I just can't buy into it all the way.
Right.
So if you signed 150 NDAs, would I be a liar? No, you wouldn't say anything if you signed 150 NDAs. And then you came out and admitted to shooting the president in the head and admitted things about the CIA, they would sue your ass.
Right.
They wouldn't have let you out of jail.
Not to mention there wouldn't be an NDA on that.
They wouldn't have let anybody interview you in prison.
Yeah.
So where's just produce one NDA. Just one from the government. Produce one. Then we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe.
All right. Do you want to put up this from this into the scene?
Let's see.
Let me see if I can.
All right, you're up. What'd you do?
Oh, no, never mind. Try again. All right. Nice picture from the front of the National Archives here. And this is a really nice building. We'll get to it.
I used to drive by it all the time when I was back in the day delivering oil around Maryland. I know exactly where it is, and I know exactly where you were.
Day zero, travel. This is me boarding the train, and pretty nice hotel room. I gotta say, not bad.
Yeah, nice king size bed,
Yeah,
pull out sofa, or a lounging sofa,
yeah. Nice TV.
a little kitchenette thing. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like the coffee maker.
Oh, okay.
There was a fridge right here, which I put some food I didn't eat in there. And like I said, the trip down was pretty seamless. No issues, and then went right down to the restaurant slash bar. So
Nice.
we had a good time. On this is day zero. Day zero scanner check, and this is at like 10:30 p.m. So this is after we've been at the bar for quite a while. My computer needed an update. Andrew here is trying to help everyone with their scanners, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is my scanner on the left." I think his scanner right there. We were all down in the hotel lobby. The hotel workers must have thought we were nuts, but yeah, that is day zero. We got day one Monday. Now this is the on the left hand side, the airport security type of entrance that I described. Right, you get wanded down after you go through that thing, and all your stuff is scanned. But you can bring in drinks and even allegedly, I'm not saying I did, vapes, to put in your locker at the research locker room, which is the middle picture here. And this is Andrew and Mark and Paul's brother trying to figure out how to put a quarter in the locker to lock it. And by day two, I was like, man, I looked at all the people here. I was like, all these people are nerds. No one's going to go into your locker. And Rob, I picked locker 147. Just so you know.
Of course you did.
Yes. It was easy to remember. This is all of us on the right hand side wheeling our carts in for the day. This is still day one. You got your scanner. And the interesting thing is you got to open your scanner, you got to open your laptop, and then bring it up from the top of the cart to prove that you don't have anything malicious in there. You have to do that on the way out to make sure you're not stealing any documents, which I know I get it. I get it. But it was funny because you know it was a process, and this is after we got our registration cards, which also took a few minutes, and they're good for a year, by the way.
Andrew looks a little suspicious in that long white button-up shirt there, like he could stuff some documents down the crack of his ass and nobody'd know.
I mean, he probably could, but Andrew, of course, would never do that. They had their eye on him, so, and there were cameras everywhere. The National Archives Administration completed construction of a new facility, the National Archives at College Park, in 1993. Now, what we were talking about at dinner one night was the timing of this opening of the archives is very interesting. It's right before the ARB kind of went into effect, right, in 94. I don't know if right before, but a year before at least. Now, were they anticipating all these documents coming in?
Probably.
Probably. That's what we said too.
They probably had a shit pile of JFK related stuff from the Warren Commission and the HSCA at the original National Archives that they probably would like to make room to put other shit in, as well.
Yeah. So and of course, there's a lot been written of how some of the intelligence agencies kind of got past the ARB by submitting their documents before the ARB actually got working, in 94. Informally known as Archives 2, it is the largest archived building in the world. Together with the historic National Archives building, the new facility assists the National Archives in the Washington area in pursuing its mission, acquiring, preserving, and making available to the public records of enduring value. And to the right is the research card registration room. Help us protect our records.
But the digitizing shit and getting it online for the world is not a priority for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
So day 2, this is my advanced pull request. So you pull up, you scan your card, you talk to an archivist, they then give you this cart with all your boxes, right? And I had 8 of them here, I believe. The right is the big room we were in, and this here on the right is the route the walkers walked and trolled us the whole time.
The day walkers.
Yeah, they didn't have a sense of humor. I tried joking with them. I tried charming them, and it didn't work. Actually, I did befriend one of them, but I was like, "Are you gonna miss us on Wednesday?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Again, I don't think they were ready for us. I don't think they were ready for 5 of us. It was a very interesting dynamic, if you will.
Well, I'm sure it's not. They probably don't get people even coming in there daily. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck does this?
Right. And so this is, I guess, 1900 on ish. So you're dealing with like World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, etc. Right? And I saw a group of people with POW MIA shirts, missing in action, I guess. And there's an archivist there telling them, sorry, we couldn't get the records. So I don't think it's only JFK, to be fair to them. It's just you really need like a laser pointer, and you need to have like specific requests to get what you want to get. If you're like vague in any way, you're not going to get what you're looking for. And that's something I would change if I went back a second time. I would be much more specific.
Much more prepared.
Yes.
Preparated.
Yes. Even though we did prepare a good amount, and Andrew, did a lot of the legwork in that. It's still, you live, you learn type of thing. Like, you really have to, like, do your homework, like, for months. This is Mr. Paul Blow at his little desk there on day one on the left. And we could lean over and kind of talk to each other as long as we weren't sharing documents with each other, type of thing. Of course, our scanners were working. The scanner is closed right here on the right hand side. And, your boy was jamming out as he was scanning because it's a tedious process here. It gets a little boring. So I had a little music to kind of pump me up. But
Were the disco biscuits at a high volume?
yes.
Yeah, God, yeah.
If anyone saw me, I was like jamming out, like dancing at my chair. I did stand up at one point because I was getting tired, and they're like, "Sir, you need to sit down." Like everything I did was like not a violation, but like against the rules in some way. But again, the building is extremely nice. And by the way, bro, the cafeteria, fire, shocker.
Well, it should be. I mean, that's our tax money at work.
Right. It's fire and it's cheap. Like you can get a burger and fries for like $7 and it's like will fill you up all day. Nice. I got a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant one day. It was pretty fire. So this is day 2, Tuesday. I have my 9 boxes here. So the funny thing about Tuesday is because I had to check out of the hotel, I let them go ahead first and I Ubered over. So instead of being on the main floor, which is past these windows here, we were sent into this room. It was actually kind of nice because like the walkers weren't around as much. But I walked in about an hour after they did, and I was like, "Is this a punishment that we're in this room?" And they're like, "We don't know." But we were drawing a lot of attention, so who knows? More boxes. On Tuesday, this was the day I got frustrated. I had to go upstairs to the senior archivist, JFK archivist. I had to, because I had names like James Herbert Martin, for example, but I didn't have record group numbers or entry numbers or container numbers or folder numbers or blah, blah, blah. So the guy was actually very nice. I will give him very much credit for that. He sat with me for about an hour. I had to wait for about an hour, but he sat with me for about an hour and helped me locate those files and some other files I was looking for. So it's not like everyone at the archives is horrible. I mean, this guy's been doing it for like 10 years and he knew more about documents than I could probably ever know. But it's a process and it takes time and blah, blah, blah. So look at me.
Huh. Tempting fate, are you?
Well, I just posed on it. I didn't actually write it. Andrew was looking at me in the background being like, "You're not going to do that, are you?" But on the left is just some of the folders I scanned, and we have Mike McClaney, who was mentioned by Larry and David on our show, a name they asked me to look up. James Herbert Martin, Orlando Bosch, Carlos Bernier, Dan Carswell, who I presented at Lancer with 2 years ago, Ed Browder, who I wasn't familiar with. I didn't get many pages on him. He was a gun runner. Ed Butler, who had 2 long, long folders. Richard Kane, 3 folders. Rogelio Cisneros, who is also of interest to Mr. Boylan. Tony Cuesta, Victor Espinoza, Wanda H. Martin, Tony Verona, a couple folders on him. ferry, which we're going to get to in a little bit, and it goes down and down. I just could only fit this in my screenshot. So I think a lot was done. I think I could have done more had I been better prepared or what I was prepared to expect, just to be frank with you. But I still think it was very valuable. So a lot there for us to go. And this is the end of day 2, right? So Mark was leaving Wednesday morning. We got some security officer we befriended to take a picture of us on the left-hand side under the National Archives sign. And then shout out Paul Blow, who bought us a nice bottle of wine at dinner Tuesday night. We had a horrible college waiter that didn't even bring us napkins or forks and knives. But other than that, it was good eats. And so then day 3, Wednesday. This is just an example on the left here, Rob, of what you see when you open a box, right? Box 4013, box 4014, box 4015, 16, 17, 18. And a lot of them are unlabeled. So you literally, look at the amount of pages in here. This would take me close to an hour to scan, or
Probably longer than that.
probably longer than that. So again, you're trying to skim and scan, but also make your time most efficient. Because again, we only had 4 or 5 hours on Wednesday, so I had 9 boxes delivered to me on Wednesday, and I'm going through them looking for certain names, and it's just extremely difficult to do because you can't read them and scan at the same time. You just can't do it. So, but I did take pictures of every box and record number and group number and all the bullshit. So if I do go back and there was some stuff I didn't see, I think one of these is Frank Barthez, of course, from New Orleans. Cuban exile, but it's just, sometimes you get to a small folder and you're like, yeah, it's small. I don't have to be here for an hour and a half scanning nonstop every 10 seconds. And then this is a picture of me and Andrew leaving. We're laughing at kind of the ridiculousness of our experience. I do have a video of this, and I think we're going to create a little video vlog in the future. I don't want to create any videos here, nor can I put them in PowerPoint, I think, but maybe I could. But and Rob, have you ever seen this picture of David Ferry?
Yes, I have actually.
Oh, with his hair like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I had not, and I Googled imaged that, and there's a lot that look like this, but I didn't find any with this type of hair. There was, yeah, there's one that looks really similar, and I had to go back and forth and being like, have I seen this? Have I not seen this? But I searched, not hard, maybe for a couple minutes, and I did not see this type of picture, but there was a couple glossy, I think it was 8x10 photos of David Ferry that I scanned as well. So, I made a funny comment, I think it was Tuesday. I was like, researching is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Of course, the Forrest Gump quote from the movie. So yeah, you could take that down for now. That's my last slide. And then before the ferry chronology document, which we'll go through.
Interesting. Well, before we get there,
What are your thoughts on the pictures and everything before we get there?
yeah, it's very interesting to see the processes of NARA, not just what it looks like on the outside, but what you're dealing with when you actually get there, when you get your boxes, where you got to sit, what's in the boxes. type of thing. And I know you got other videos and pictures and different processes, and we'll get to that in future shows and things like that. But yeah, it's very. It looks it looks about like I'd expect it to look. Very sterile, very proper, very secure type thing. Very strict. Um, so were you able to go out any evening to like? Did you make it into DC to Martin's pub or anything like that?
So we were discussing it. We were so shot that we didn't end up doing it.
Gotcha.
Like these are
Not at all.
long, long days. We were up at 6:30 a.m. We were down in the lobby by 8:15 to try to make it there before 9. It was long days. We were just we really wanted to, but it didn't end up happening.
Gotcha. So you ended up leaving Wednesday,
Hmm.
and you being the Scafuza, the patron saint of Scafuzas, missed your train home. Explain,
Correct.
please, how you let that happen.
Well, I left the archives with Andrew. That was the last picture before ferry on the right side, and the new Carrollton train station was almost 25 minutes south from where we were, and I thought it was closer. So Andrew, having an almost 10-hour drive back to Canada, even though he offered nice of him, to drive me there, I was like, yo, I don't want to add another hour onto your, at least with traffic, right? Onto your drive. So I said, just drop me off at a restaurant or something, and I'll just Uber to the train station. And I had like an hour and a half, or almost close to 2 hours at this point. So I was feeling okay about it. Um, the town around the archives is ghetto as hell. And I couldn't even find a restaurant that wasn't like horrible. So I found this Mike's Pub place with a Korean kind of owner, I guess she was, and had a nice cheesesteak, had a drink, and I get an Uber. My ride
Oh,
is,
you wanted a cheesesteak
yeah,
at a Korean restaurant.
with whiz,
Okay.
with the cheese whiz. You know that saying?
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
it's business. Yeah.
Okay. So it was very good. I ordered my Uber. I got one. It didn't. The car didn't move for 10 minutes. So now I'm like kind of like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I cancel the ride. Car isn't moving. Excuse. I request another one. 25 minutes go by before someone accepts my ride. So now we're in trouble because my ETA is like 2 minutes before my train comes. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a problem. Um, but still think I can make it. And we get on the Beltway, and it's a parking lot.
Yeah, it's rush hour on a weekday
I
on the
mean,
Beltway around DC.
it was like 2:50. It wasn't really rush hour, but
If you're
I
not
got.
leaving DC by 2 p.m., you're fucked.
You should have told me that, bro. I know you. I'm just kidding with you. Um,
I'm sorry, you weren't supposed to stay an extra day, sir.
I wasn't supposed to. I had boxes to pull, so I bit the
Because you
bullet.
didn't follow my advice and do your shit first and then other people's shit second.
No, I just had issues finding the shit and locating the boxes. Like I said, it's so I arrive at the train station about 5 minutes after the train departs, and of course, Amtrak is on time for my first train that I missed. So I had to book another train. $200 later, I'm at a restaurant next to the train station, sitting there for 2 hours, and and then because of the thunderstorms, it's delayed another hour, and it ended up being like an 8 hour commute. I mean, I could have flown to Italy by then. Um, but, it's all a learning process in terms of everything. Situations were out of my control. I guess I should have not ordered the cheesesteak, but your boy was hungry. And it is what it is. I made it home. I'm alive, and it's one for the books, I'd say. But we're going to go through a lot of these documents in the coming weeks, and probably take months, actually, a month or two. And hopefully it's fruitful, you know?
Yeah, hopefully we stumble across something worthwhile of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, probably not going to be any smoking guns in there, but if the Malcolm Blunt archives is any indicator of interesting documents that nobody's seen before, hopefully in your cache somewhere there's something in there, you know, that's on par with that. So
Mm-hmm.
one can only hope.
That's all you could do. And if you don't go there and make the effort, you're really never going to know. Because you can, only search the available archives so much.
But with the Borelli luck streak,
Yeah, right.
you're about the only motherfucker I could think of who could go to the archive, scan 2,000 documents, and not find one worth of fuck.
Right.
But we will see. Hopefully, we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Time will tell. The other guys found some good stuff. I'm not going to elaborate on that. Some stuff they were looking for. So yeah, I mean, listen, you learn, and if I ever went back, I would be so much more like ready to crush than I was, because I was just like a deer in the woods in a sense, right? I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what boxes they were going to send me. Two or three of the boxes were completely like kind of useless. And that's how you kind of do it, is learn from your mistakes, if you will, if I made mistakes, and do it better the next time, right? But
Yeah. Well, let's look at one of the documents that you were able to scan and something you've never seen before. And we were trying to figure out if it was online or not. I don't know if you determined that.
I looked up the riff on Mary Farrell. It is not, and then I removed the last three numbers, and it is not, or
Gotcha.
four numbers. And it is the most. And I googled it and looked in other places as well. It could be somewhere out there. I'm not gonna. I don't want to overpromise, underdeliver, but it is the most complete chronology of David Ferry, starting from his birth, that I've ever seen.
All
And
right.
I guess I'll let you be the judge of if there's any new stuff to you in there, because you are, of
You want
course.
me to put it up or you got it?
Uh, you have to put it up, sir.
Okay. Hold, please. All right. Can everybody see? Let me blow it the fuck up. Oh, whoa. Okay. Is that big enough for you, Joe?
That's big enough for me.
That's what she said. All right, this document, the originator is from the FBI. Okay, so this is a document, I guess, prepared by the FBI and sent to Patricia Orr, who was an investigator for the HSCA, March 78, 1979. This is like shutdown time for the HSCA, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're winding down, they're shutting her down, they're getting to the end of it, type of thing. As of December 2nd, 1996, this document is open in full. Okay. Yet apparently, I don't know if you can check on the actual NARA website whether or not it's been digitized. I don't know. But it's been around a very, very long time. In fact, 30 effing years, apparently. But again, it may not be online. So I'm going to scan on down here. And this is David William Terry background. See that?
Yeah, I do. Oh, Double
Uh-oh.
B.
What are we doing, Double B? What did you do? You gifted 10 memberships. Wow. Anthony got one. Darzan got one. Owen got one. Marshall got one. Joe D'Souza Borelli got one. Oh well got one. Our girl Real T with Krista Marie, or reality with Krista Marie. Let me say that right. Got one. Shout outs to her.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was watching one of her shows the other day.
Oba Omi got one. Loli Periosko. I can't even say that name, bro. I'm sorry. That is a horrible name, sir or ma'am. And Vic's Picks got one. What's up, Vic? So thank you, Brandon, for gifting those. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you very much.
And very apropos in timing of a David William Terry document from Joseph Borelli. Okay, here we go. Here's the routing slip for the HSCA and who got copies. Tiny Hutton was one of them, not Tiny Dancer. Tiny Hutton. Listen,
Well, it could be
is that
Tiny
your
Dancer.
real name, Tiny? Tiny Hutton. Cliff Fenton, Dick Billing, Mike Ewing, Robert Blakey, Gary Cornwell, some of the more notable names on this who got copied on this document here. So here we go, Joe.
All right.
It's
So
David William Ferry chronology.
before you start, I want to clear your past thoughts on David Ferry.
Hold
Was
on.
he a good?
Brandon comes through again. Just woke up from a drunken stupor and new meds. I love you all. I'm dying though. Hopefully you feel better, bro. I'm sorry you feel like dog shit. But thank you very much for supporting the show, even though you're on your deathbed. Hopefully you get well soon, Brandon, buddy. Thank you, sir. And hello, you Licky the Luga. Better late than never. We love you, sir.
Yes. What's up?
I think it's a sir. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. So he was born in Cleveland, Ohio, March 18th, 1918. He attended grammar school, blah, blah, blah. Attended high school, also went both in Ohio. Attended Baldwin Wallace College. Worked part-time as station, June 40 to June 41, as attendant for Standard Oil Company, Cleveland, Ohio. And then he attended Baldwin College for senior year, receiving a bachelor's in psychology in June 1941.
All right.
Then he entered St. Charles Seminary.
I bet that's not the only seminary that entered him that year, but pray continue.
And that's in 1942. This is the first time he received instruction in flying at SkyTech Airway Service in Cleveland, Ohio. Then he was a teacher, again, teacher, at Rock River High School, Ohio. Left seminary because of emotional instability. This is November 27th, 44. Returned to Cleveland for psychological help. We're off to a good start. Lived with parents. Applied for readmission to St. Charles and for admission to other seminaries, but was refused. Then he became a pilot at Jeddah Oil and Drilling, Cleveland, Ohio, in 1945. Then he was under contract to teach at another school in 1946 to 1949. In 1947, I guess they overlap, he joined the Civil Air Patrol in Ohio and became a Civil Air Patrol instructor. During this period, Ferry got in trouble for taking cadets to House of Prostitution in Sandusky, Ohio.
Hey, hold on. All right, so he becomes a Civil Air Patrol instructor and decides it would be a good idea to take some high school age kids, some young boys, to a whorehouse in Sandusky, Ohio, which I'm sure was not very high class joint, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It doesn't say what he taught Sally on this. So he's then removed from the Civil Air Patrol and then reinstated after 201 file turned up missing. Interesting. Fired from job at Benedictine, and then he was residing in Tampa, Florida, according to Credit Bureau, married with 2 children.
Whoa. Ferry had 2 kids?
No. But this is according to the Credit Bureau. He might be claiming dependence, is my guess.
And married to a woman, which I doubt ever happened either.
Right, because they didn't have...
That would make it 3 dependents.
He worked at Bankers Indemnity, Cleveland, Ohio, as an engineer in 1950, and also 1950, beginning date in U.S. Army Reserve. Enlisted in Cleveland to serve 3 years, Private E2 in Army Reserve, left with honorable discharge. Okay? And by the way, Rob, you see that declassified go up a little bit? You see that declassified RF number?
Yeah.
I had to go to a separate desk to get this little fortune cookie type of paper, sized paper, to be authorized to use my scanner. So just another hoop to jump through.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Summer camp training, U.S. Army Reserves, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Short tour, active duty at Fort Hays, Ohio. Employed in Ohio as an engineer. Ferry is in Civil Air Patrol in New Orleans in 1951. He applied for employment with Eastern Airlines. Eastern Airlines, May 20th or 23rd, 51, internal memo, consideration given to firing. Ferry for falsification of his application form. Shocker. He's a good guy, though.
They should have got rid of him then, but they didn't.
No. Retail Credit Bureau, Cleveland, Ohio report indicates Ferry did not show job at Benedictine High School, changed dates at Jeddah Oil Drilling Company to extend employment. Later in May 51, according to Army Reserve records, Ferry residing in East Orange, New Jersey. That's interesting. I didn't know he was ever in New Jersey.
He's falsifying information on his application. He's lying and changing dates to extend employment about where he was working.
Correct.
Okay.
Another Eastern Airlines internal memo indicates suspicion over Ferry's seminary experience during World War II and lack of military employment. Recommends a, quote, close watch, end quote, on Ferry's progress.
Again, second chance, they should have fired him and didn't.
Right. Eastern Airlines internal memo recommends New Orleans keep Ferry over a replacement until a replacement can be found. Notes Ferry has requested transfer to Houston,
Hmm.
which of course is interesting when you think about his trip that weekend.
Well, they did have a pretty sweet ice rink there. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Maybe not 1950, but who knows. Eastern Airlines' more internal memos indicates Ferry considered by fellow pilots to be doing a good job, although he is odd, quote, at times. Eastern decided to keep him on. Ferry, strike three. Ferry's, quote, biggest concern, end quote, seems to be a married woman in Cleveland.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's his biggest concern.
According to a U.S. Army
Found
Reserve.
out he was boinking her husband. Who knows?
Yeah, or he was boiking the husband. According to U.S. Army Reserve records, Ferry residing at St. Louis Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. According to records, on November 51, he's residing on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. 53,
Real
he's,
quick, Joe, hold on.
yeah, sure.
Uliki DeLuca says 90% of job applicants lie. Those that don't get hired. I would agree that may be the case now, and because not many places actually check. But back then, people checked, so probably not the best of ideas back then. Because they were very thorough back then, checking employment history, at
Right.
least in most places.
Right. And you're not saying like they can go on a database on a computer in 1953 and check or 51.
No, they would check
But
military records. They would check
they would call.
credit records.
They would call. Yeah.
Yeah, they would check.
Yeah. So Ferry's active in Civil Air Patrol New Orleans in 53. Letter from blah, blah, blah. So in March 53, honorably discharged from U.S. Army Reserve. And 2 days later, March 1953, Eastern Airlines internal memo indicated Ferry doing considerable promotional work on his own time for Eastern to develop travel and interest in the Southwest area. I wonder how they got all this information, how they condensed it.
It's very efficient.
Yeah. He gives talks to schools and clubs on aviation and Eastern. March 53, Ferry received a letter of commendation for his efforts from E.V. Rickenbacker, president and general manager from Eastern Airlines. Okay.
You glossed over, formed a group of Air Scouts officially sponsored by Eastern Airlines. Much like
Okay.
Boy Scouts, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sorry.
Air Scouts. Young boys.
Yeah. So September 53, he enrolled at graduate school Tulane University studying philosophy, which was what his bachelor's was in. 54, disciplined for illegal. This is where it gets funny. Disciplined for illegal past rider on flight with ferry from New Orleans to Houston. George Piazza. Piazza had met Ferry in 52 because on Ferry's interest in flying in the Civil Air Patrol. Ferry got Piazza a job and was a close friend of Ferry's. Go down a little bit. Date of degree from University Berry, Berry, Berri, Italy, 1957. Did you know? Do you think he was in Italy?
No, that's one of those fake diplomas. So Phoenix University in Bari, Italy.
Oh, Phoenix, yeah.
Come on, man. That's some fake ass shit there.
Okay. So, and end of mid 57 July, he applied for passport. 58, Ferry wearing wig at this time, outspoken about not liking females. Ferry was very influential effect on boys in the squadron.
I bet he was.
Hair loss explanations, radiation, chemical explosion, cancer experiments.
Maybe just because he was homosexual.
I guess in October 58, His application for Civil Air Patrol membership denied. 59 guns purchased from Crescent Gun Shop, New Orleans. Teacher of New Orleans Cadet Rifle Club allegedly purchased rifles subsequently found in search of Ferry's home following 61 arrest. Ferry report that Customs investigating Ferry regarding possible gun smuggling. Ferry in Miami temporarily after 26-hour surveillance. Agents determined Ferry not involved in doing anything nefarious and wrongdoing, but planning outing for his, quote, scouts, end quote.
Air Scouts.
Yes.
So we have him after a 26-hour surveillance, which is like one day
Right.
of watching him, and determined that he was not involved in any nefarious acts of wrongdoing.
I guess he reapplied for the Civil Air Patrol on September 11th, 1959. His prior Civil Air Patrol service given as 47 of 54, so he's been gone for 5 years by then now. Accepted by blank or nothing, 10/6/59. Ferry reinstated effective September 11th, 1959, and requested reinstatement of aeronautical rating with Civil Air Patrol. Reinstated about 2 weeks later. December, almost end of the year, 29th, 59, near miss in airplane, November 24th, 59. Ferry involved with Methane Falcon Squadron, which
Probably
supposedly
supposed to be Metairie.
okay, which supposedly had a charter but did not. Where have we seen that before? Ferry kept his own Civil Air Patrol interview with Robert Morrell in the 201 file. Ferry claims to have lost his hair in an experimental cancer serum. So on end of January 1960, he wrote a resignation from Civil Air Patrol. So that didn't last long, but did not actually cease Civil Air Patrol activities. On April 1960, date given by Ferry and beginning as his efforts to lecture to Rotary and Kiwanis clubs. June 60, purchased Ford Tudor sedan for $2,500. Also, Ferry resigned from the New Orleans Cadet Squadron, did not renew membership after 1960. Summer 1960, Ferry in trouble on Civil Air Patrol campout trip, insisting on rooming in barracks with cadets rather than with officers. Ferry asked to leave. Sometime this month, Ferry went to see an attorney about a business deal he had in Honduras. First file, second section, 36. August 1960, Ferry went out to see one of his Civil Air Patrol boys who had been sent to a youth detention center for running away, Al Sheremy. Ferry gained entrance to the center by signing in as a doctor. As a result, parents began to really complain about Ferry. Ferry did not renew membership and formed a new Civil Air Patrol organization. Meanwhile, old Civil Air Patrol records disappeared. So this is where the scaffoozery really starts to happen. FAA officials received information that boys being influenced to join an organization headed by a Dr. Ferry called Omnipotent, the purpose of which was to train people to do what to do in the event of an all-out attack against the United States. September 60, all personal records of Civil Air Patrol cadets stolen from storage room near New Orleans Airport. Interesting. Approximate time, Ferry began working with Arcacha Smith. This is November 60, for a Cuban group active with CRC since 1961. Or active since April 61. That doesn't make sense time-wise. Ferry called into office of IRS for 1960 tax return. In interview with IRS agent, Ferry outspoken in a derogatory manner about USA, its taxes, persecution, and generally hostile attitude. IRS agent thought Ferry actually deranged psycho.
This is some bullshit.
But he's a good guy, man.
Income taxes are unconstitutional, god damn it.
Go down a little more to December.
Why I gotta pay them?
Ferry had Christmas Eve party for boys in his Civil Air Patrol unit. They had liquor and they looked at pornographic literature. James James
Ferry was dressed up as fucking Santa Claus and asked the boys to come sit on his lap. Tell them what they wanted for Christmas.
yeah. They had James Landry, Al Landry, Donnie Richards, and Leighton Martins were present.
Mm-hmm.
An application for airworthiness, this is April 61, was made for Ferry's plane at FAA branch in Oklahoma City. Ferry was on vacation later in April from Eastern Airlines. The last half of this month coincides with the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Or coincides.
I'm sorry. Some later in April, some sort of police station or other legal matter concerning Al Landry and his parents occurred on this date. It's not specific. April 61, Carlos Marcello is kidnapped. Then you have late April 61, the Bay of Pigs began involvement with Cuban Revolutionary Front with Arcacha at the Balter building.
Kidnapped or deported?
It says kidnapped.
But I'm pretty sure the State Department scooped his ass up and dropped him off in the jungle somewhere.
Right. I mean, I guess that's like you could consider that.
It's interesting the FBI is framing it as being kidnapped.
Yeah, that is interesting. End of April 61, he began involvement. We already saw that. And he reportedly teaching Cubans how to fly. Sergio Cacha Smith wrote letter to Captain Rickenbacker requesting on Ferry's behalf a 60 or 90-day leave with pay to work full-time with the CRC. Request denied. On August 1st, 61, since policy established of not granting leave with pay for any political reason. On July 61, Ferry gave speech before New Orleans chapter of the Military Order of the World Wars. He talked about Cuba and Kennedy and the Bay of Pigs. His remarks about JFK were offensive enough to cause the commander of the order to stop Ferry's speech.
All right, that's enough, young man. We've heard enough out of you.
You're cut off. You're done. August 61, Falcon Squadron investigation into runaway Landry, which is one of the kids involving Ferry. No evidence charter issued, blah, blah, blah. August 1st, 61, application to leave work for Eastern Airlines for 60 to 90 days denied by Eastern. August 8th, 61, arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile.
For unlawful carnal knowledge. What a great Van Halen album. Also an acronym for fuck.
Later in August, Smith called police on behalf of Ferry and said that the Landry boy could be found and returned home. So he's kind of like a runaway. And that they did not press charges.
Oh, he's saying, look, I'll give the boy back if you don't press charges.
Right.
I mean, goddamn.
He's a good guy, though, Rob.
Yeah.
You gotta remember this.
Mm-hmm.
August 21st, 61, arrested in New Orleans for crime against nature on a 15-year-old boy and indecent behavior with 3 others. Allegedly used...
Assaho.
What is that?
I'm going to guess it's some kind of aerosol popper drug.
Poppers. Where was I?
You're getting sleepy, Joe. Very
No,
sleepy.
no, I'm not. I'm just trying to look at the.
I know, hypnosis.
I thought you meant me.
Here,
Go up.
watch my pocket watch, Joe. Watch it go
Uh,
back left to right.
oh, hypnosis and airplane flights to lure boys to commit indecent acts. August 22nd, 61. Search of Ferry's home. Found 4 1903 Springfield rifles, 2 22 caliber rifles, one English and rifle. I don't know if it's Enfield. One flare gun, one 38 caliber revolver, one sword, ammunition, maps of Havana, Cuba, West Indies, two miniature submarines, maps of submarines, I'm guessing. Also found quantity of medicine and equipment such as syringes, hypodermic needles, tablets, medicine. Wow. All right.
Whenever you see me, you're going to feel a stirring in your loins, young man.
Ferry and a Cuban friend go to where Crochet works and threaten to have him.
Hold on, you jumped ahead there.
Okay. Eric Crochet gives statement about having sex with Ferry. Same file as above. In Crochet's statement about sex with Ferry, he stated that Ferry told him that he was having homosexual relations with a married man in Houston. James Landry gave statement to police about Ferry giving liquor and his sex parties for the boys in his Civil Air Patrol unit. Ferry, yeah, good guy. Ferry and a Cuban friend go to where Crochet works and threaten to have him beat up by Cubans if he doesn't sign a paper saying he made up the charges against Ferry. Frightened, Crochet claims when he leaves work later that day, Ferry and friends are still outside watching him. Crochet at first says Ferry's friend's name was Andrew. All right. All right, we're in August 61 still. Pursuant to above call from Landry, police officers visit the boy at work and take a statement. Ferry and friend again visited Crochet at work and got him to sign another paper. Ferry told him that he would do anything the boy wanted him to do if he would sign it. Ferry told him that he wanted to meet a man named Arcacha Smith. Police receive a call from Crochet stating the details of Ferry's second visit and threats. Police rush to the Balter building to try to catch Ferry, but he isn't there. Immigration officer Inspector Underwood is informed of Arcacha Smith's involvement in the incident. He informed police that Smith is a U.S. citizen. That night, police received information from CAP, Civil Air Patrol, that Ferry's CAP squadron was not an official unit of CAP, and that in fact Ferry had been quietly removed from CAP responsibilities earlier. Ferry removed from payroll from Eastern Airlines effective this date for indefinite period. That's August 26, 61. On August 29, 61, the Times-Picayune in New Orleans reports Ferry threatened boy not to prefer charges against Ferry. He was forced to sign a statement to that effect. Article in the Times-Picayune reporting that Ferry, charged with intimidation of a witness, was placed on $750 bond. Andrew Blackman and Leighton Martins were arrested for vagrancy and suspicion. Also end of August. Leighton Martins, 18, CAP student, friend and lover of Ferry, is arrested with Melvin Sealing and Andrew Blackman in a car on charges of vagrancy, loitering, and pending investigation of burglary. They were held for FBI. Arrest report states that Martins was second in command to Arcacha Smith in Cuban counter-revolution movement. Report says Ferry had been driven to Smith's house in Sealing's car shortly before arrest. Says Ferry is wanted for attempted theft of an airplane. The FAA on September 61 opens investigation on Ferry. Types case listed as good moral character.
See, apparently he was a good guy, Joe.
I might have been wrong this whole time. September 26, 61. Ferry is arraigned on charge of intimidating a witness. October 61. Information received. Ferry involved with group of boys made up of George Woodcock, Al Landry, Leighton Noble, Andrew Blackman, Carlos Ferry. Carlos. Ferry obtained a passport for Woodcock dated 10/3/61.
What a name.
Ferry. I'm sorry?
What a name.
Yeah, I know, right?
Get over here, Woodcock. So whip it out. Let's see if it's really made out of wood.
Ferry had pornographic photos of the boys, which he used as a threat to keep them in line.
Well, imagine that.
No, then you can go down to the next.
Good guy.
Good guy. U.S. Border Patrol, this is October 61, received information that Ferry is attempting to purchase a C-47 airplane for $30,000 and reportedly has a cadre of arms in the New Orleans area. Ferry's group of boys, reportedly made up of all the people I talked about earlier.
I wonder if Carlos, last name unknown, is Quiroga or Bernier.
Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
So then he gets a letter from Ferry to Eastern Airlines implying criminal charges as a result of harassment by communists and fellow travelers for his anti-Castro activities. Then he applied for a visa to Venezuela at the Venezuela consulate in New Orleans. Request denied. 61. Ferry and Jack Martin arrive in Louisville, Kentucky. And Rob, we are familiar with this, right?
We are.
For purpose of Ferry being made a bishop in Holy Catholic Apostolic Church. But the Archbishop refused to do it because of sex rumors regarding Ferry. Ferry was angered. December 61. Shortly before Christmas, there were two men from the FAA in Washington investigating Ferry's flight status. January 62, along with Ferry, Jack Martin, Victor Shiro, Guy Bannister, Thomas Dooling, William Bell, George Greener, and Thomas Beckham are also excommunicated.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, this is a detailed analysis, and I can't vouch that all of it's correct, but I found it very interesting.
Yeah, like I said about Beckham, you can say he might be full of shit, but at least we can prove that he was around these guys back then. So you got to give a little more credence to what he's saying. When if there was absolutely no proof and he never appeared in any documents or anything like that prior to the assassination, with hanging out with Ferry and Martin and Bannister, I mean, it's right there in black and white, folks.
I'm going to skip a couple. February 16th, 62, he's arrested relative to extortion. You can go down again. February 17th, 62, arrested again for extortion. Again, good guy. I'm going to skip some of this. You can go down to the next.
And interesting here, February 18th, where it says that they chose to meet, that Cater chose to meet at the Walgreens on Canal Street to meet Ferry because it was a safe place. This is also where Beckham said that he met Oswald after he had handed out the leaflets and had a conversation with him. It was at the Walgreens on Canal Street. So
yeah, good. I missed that. Thank you, sir.
Interesting.
Ferry told February 62, Cater told police that he got a phone call from two boys shortly after Ferry's arrest on the 16th. The boys said that Ferry was a good person.
Good guy, goddammit.
And asked Cater what he had told police about Ferry. Cater said one of the boys was Alvin Boboff. Okay, that was one of the Scafusas with who Cater had once met at an ice skating rink. Well, this is 62, so that's interesting. The memo concludes Cater is probably a homosexual himself and that Ferry thinks he can be intimidated because of this. February, Ferry found not guilty in Jefferson Parish. Ferry is in a news article later in February, found innocent of charge. March 62, Ferry working with G. Ray Gill as investigator and law clerk. Also in March, he's arraigned on charges of extortion. April, address listed as Louisiana Ave, employed by G. Ray Gill. And it says Guild, but presumably G. Ray Gill, as it says there. On this date, Southern Bell Telephone, June 62, filed a claim for collection from Ferry. This bill was for $104. Ferry made a card payment date in September, made a car payment. All right, let's go down.
Sorry.
It's okay. You know what? Let's go down a little more. That's not really relevant. So this is interesting. On November 7th, 62, Garrison replied to a request from Eastern Airlines regarding status of charges against Ferry. Garrison replied with brief rundown of charges. So, of course, remember in the movie JFK, and I'm not saying this is true or not, oh, I know Dave Ferry. Maybe this is what he remembered him from. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Quite possible.
Oh man, November 9th, 62, Ferry came home with a woman and two little girls, ages 8 and 12. Ferry, the woman, and the girls left in his car. At 8:50, Ferry came home with a young man. At 9:15, and the young man left in Ferry's car. Ferry returns at 11:20. November 11th, 62, Ferry left the home to drive a short distance to the drugstore and made a call from the phone booth. At 8:17 p.m., a young boy driving a car, license name Bramley, arrived at Ferry's house. At 8:30, Crochet, who we talked about earlier, or mentioned earlier, arrived at Ferry's house with another boy. At 8:35, Ferry and the two boys left his house in two cars. They went to Crochet's address. At 9:35, they went to North Prior.
Whose address is that, Joe? 1311 North Prior.
You know what? It seemed familiar to me.
Jack Martin.
Oh. And knocked on the that's interesting. And knocked on the door. Ferry and Bromley. A little later, Ferry and Bromley and an older man are seen.
And quickly, I think the Bramley, it's misspelled here. It's probably Morris Brownlee.
Yeah.
One of his boys.
No, that's a really good point. And the older man has to be Jack Martin because he looked weathered as fuck, right?
Yeah.
They're seen walking on the above street. They stop at the above address, possibly that of Jack Martin. Okay, there we go. And Ferry and the older man have a heated argument. Again.
What's the date of this? November 11th, 62. Okay.
That same night, the older man goes in the above house and Ferry and Bromley leave, returning to Ferry's house. Bromley apparently spends the night there.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Okay. Bromley's an engineer for U.S. Engineers.
And likely the father of Morris Brownlee.
L. Brownlee, right.
Well, no, the kid that Ferry's hanging around is named Morris or something like that. Brownlee, which is likely this guy's son.
Right. Hugh L. Brownlee.
Hugh's son. So maybe he was looking for his son. And Ferry had him pinned up somewhere.
I'm just seeing if any of this is relevant.
Well, here's one. I'll help you out. I know you're tired of talking. Let me jump in and tag in. Let me tag in, Joe.
Yeah.
All right. Harry Howard, an attorney in the Pere Marquette building, advised that he'd represented Kerry King, probably not the same guy from Slayer, in charges of stemming from a sex ring of juveniles in Jefferson Parish. Howard said, however, the name David Ferry never surfaced in that case. I wonder why, because he intimidated witnesses and blackmailed them with dirty pictures.
Yeah.
Ferry's house was still under surveillance from 5:30 to 11:30 by Jack Oliphant. Ferry came home alone at 7:15. At 8:15, Ferry and two men about his own age left his house and left in a car issued to Dante Maraschini. Now, why is this name important, Joe?
I don't know. Please remind me.
Yeah. Well, this guy, Dante Maraschini, worked at the Riley Coffee Company when Oswald was there and went on to work at the NASA plant in Michaud after that, as did many of the employees of Riley Coffee Company.
Okay. Okay. That was a hard one, but that's a good pickup. I like it.
Well, I did a whole show about Dante Maraschini. Apparently, you didn't listen to it. They returned at about 11 p.m., and Ferry went back in his house. No further activity, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. And of course, he spoke at a young men's business club, because why wouldn't he? You got to make some contacts at other places, Joe.
Of course.
All right, he's still banging this crochet dude, apparently. Ferry's walking his dog, walking Ruby down the block.
Ruby!
Now we get to James Llewellyn. Llewellyn is an airplane pilot that shared an apartment with Dante Maraschini. Again, a lot of these guys were probably, undercover lovers, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Talking about morals charges, still associating with the young boys. He just can't quit them, apparently.
It's hard to quit them. Ruby. Allegedly.
November 23rd, 62, a young boy arrived at Ferry's in a car. Shocker. All right, they're still they have Ferry's apartment under surveillance for quite a while, apparently.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Two boys returned with a six-pack of beer. No more activity until 1:30 in the morning, when Ferry came out with the boys, who then left. One boy was dropped off by the other at corner of Nashville and Patton. The driver of the car was apparently Llewellyn. Interesting. Rumor has it the boys couldn't walk straight, so that's why they had to get a ride.
that's a bad one. That's a
The DMV advised that the car carrying the heavy man who visited Ferry belonged to Henry Winkler of Happy Days fame. Various addresses for that name are in New Orleans City Directory. It's learned through a pretext interview that the identity of the second boy is Leighton Martins. Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Ellen Martins, mother of Leighton, has an unlisted number on Nashville Avenue. Doctor. Letter sent to Ferry, something about his request for info about the Holy Catholic Apostolic Church. Item 69, because why not? January of 63, more extortion charges are brought against Ferry, and they are nolle prosequid. I'm guessing that means that they chose not to prosecute. Again, he's threatening boys, and they are withdrawing their charges.
right.
G. Ray Grill is notified also in January 63 that Eastern Airlines that the last of the charges brought against Ferry have been nolle prosequid. I guess not prosecuted.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have a lawyer like G. Ray Gill,
Oh, yeah.
not your typical low level lawyer. You can get a lot of these things dropped, and
Yeah,
you got
especially when you threaten to,
right, and you
pay us.
maybe even have some mafia muscle behind you too,
Well, one
and
of his young
Cubans.
charges, again, this Eric Cruchet dude wrote a letter to Eastern and said that all charges against Ferry were false and that he had made up charges against Ferry, which I'm guessing he was put up to writing this letter to Eastern Airlines. Then Ferry filed a grievance against Eastern, countersuing them. And Jack Martin then wrote a letter to Eastern Airlines supporting his old pal Dave Ferry and accusing Eastern of framing him. He also mentioned Ferry's work with their church because they are decent, God-fearing, white American males.
Uh-huh.
A reverend in the above church advised that he learned of Ferry's sexual deviations after being asked to consecrate him as a minister and subsequently had him excommunicated from the church. You're out, buddy. February 63, a hearing was held in Miami regarding Ferry's dismissal from Eastern Airlines. G. Ray Gill acted as Ferry's attorney. Ferry was discharged by letter from Eastern Airlines finally on March the 1st. Ferry then filed a second grievance. He couldn't just leave well enough alone.
Right.
I mean, goddamn. A letter from Mr. Bell of Eastern to a Glenn Harlan referring to some Ferry data obtained by the Southern Research Company, otherwise known as a credit bureau. Ferry apparently obtained a fraudulent PhD, shocker, from a phony, quote, university in Italy, Joe.
Oh, you're right.
Apparently,
Good one.
Phoenix University in wherever the fuck Italy is a fake place. Shocker. And oh, looky here. April the 4th, 1963, a flight plan for Ferry with passengers named Diaz, Heidel, and Lambert.
Oh,
Now,
now.
this right here is it's bad all around. It's bad all around. And we did a hell of a show on this back around the 22nd of last year for our quote unquote conference presentation. Right?
Are you making fun of me?
No, no. I was just saying, instead of doing it on Lancer and wasting our time and nobody hearing it, we did it here for thousands of people to watch for free, right?
That is true. And it was a banger. Go back and listen.
It was a fantastic episode because, again, the name Heidel on this flight plan on April the 4th, 1963 is a problem.
It's a problem.
It's a big, huge, fat problem. Huge.
And we've heard, to add some context to it, we've heard about, there's no like Crochet or the other kind of kids that he was hanging around with on there. It's Heidel.
Right. Obviously, these are either aliases of people. I mean, there's several Diaz's. I mean, that's pretty vague. Heidel is the problem here. Heidel is the problem. Lambert, whatever. Some people say it was one of Clay Shaw's, Clem Lambert or Clay Lambert, one of his other aliases. Who knows? But the Heidel name here is a huge, huge problem because apparently the name Heidel does not come up anywhere at all in the context of the assassination before February of 63. Okay, when Oswald is in Dallas working at Jaggers Child Stovall, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently his last day at Jaggers Child Stovall was April the 5th, right?
Right. I believe that's right.
And I believe they have the date here wrong.
I was about to say I was looking at the date and I was like they might have it a little bit off, but
I think the right date was April 8th for the flight
yes,
plan.
yes, I
If
think
you
so.
actually look at the flight plan, I think it was April 8th. This is not a right one because we were hypothesizing, okay, if David Ferry is filing a flight plan from New Orleans or Hammond, wherever. I mean, it's close to Galveston, or no, it wasn't Galveston. It wasn't Redbird. It was the other airport there in Dallas.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
I can't remember it offhand, but we have all the details on that episode with documentation.
Yes, yes, because we were hypothesizing. Okay, that the name Heidel first surfaces when he orders. I believe it was I think he ordered the rifle first. I could be wrong. Either
Yeah,
way,
I believe so. Yeah.
the rifle and the pistol were both ordered under the moniker A.J. Heidel or Alec Heidel, or I'm sorry, Alex Heidel. And he was living in Dallas at this time. So how the fuck would Ferry know Oswald's alias at this time? If Oswald's living in Dallas and Ferry's in New Orleans, how would he know? Heidel's not a common name. And all of the synchronicity in the universe for Lee Harvey Oswald's alias to be a passenger on David Ferry's flight plan 2 days before the Walker shooting is just way more than just a universal coincidence. Like, the odds of that being true are astronomically impossible, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So we were hypothesizing. So if he gets fired from Jaggers Child Stovall on April the 5th, which was a Friday, and 6th is a Saturday, 7th is a Sunday, the 8th is a Monday, Walker shooting happens on a Wednesday. Okay, and you have these guys going to or close to Dallas. And then the Walker shooting happens.
Right on the 10th, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, on the 10th at night, right? So just the timing of everything. So if Oswald's getting fired from Jaggers Child Stovall, we hypothesized that possibly that would give him a swift kick in the buttocks to maybe go back to New Orleans to try to find another job, or think about moving back to New Orleans, or seeing what can happen. Maybe he got in a fight with Marina because he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
And he hopped on a bus and went back to New Orleans, and then met up with Ferry there, and they concocted some kind of a plan, and then flew back to Dallas. And, after the Walker shooting, Ferry left him in Dallas because he doesn't officially move to New Orleans until later on at the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he goes first, and then Marina follows later. But I think it makes good sense that, okay, Oswald loses a job. It makes sense for him to go back to New Orleans if he's tired of being in Dallas and nothing's happening in Dallas for him, to go back to where he was born, to where he has family, and to try to find something else. And then hooks back up with Ferry, his old buddy Ferry, and he's like, "Don't use the Oswald name. Use a Heidel." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is before any fair play for Cuba activity in New Orleans or anything. I mean, this is pre all of that. So in my eyes, the only way this name Heidel could be on this flight plan is if Ferry had contact with Oswald that weekend and was told to use this alias as a passenger.
Yeah. And yes, sir. We presented the FAA flight plan on that episode. I believe it was November 21st of last year, 25. There is a document of it. So.
Yeah, Joe, if you want to look for that in the Dropbox while I continue, we can show everybody.
Man. Okay.
You can do it. May of 63, a letter from Jack Martin to Eastern Airlines reiterating the charges against Ferry that Martin had previously made. So Martin goes from supporting David Ferry to being against David Ferry, which pisses Ferry off. So this is the genesis of their little tete-a-tete, not liking each other very much, which of course leads to uh, the accusations made to the FBI in November after the assassination from Jack Martin accusing Ferry of being involved, and knowing that Oswald was in his cap unit, which is a problem too. How would he know
Mm-hmm. That's true.
that?
I found it on my other computer. I'm going to email it to myself.
Jack Martin again wrote to Eastern regarding Ferry's status in the Apostolic Church. Apparently, some internal shakeup was going on inside the church, and Ferry's faction was being ousted. Shocker. August 63 to November, worked on the Marcello case. Trial starts 11/4/63, ends conveniently on 11/22/63. Well, on September 30th, 63, when Oswald is allegedly in Mexico, a bill was sent on this date to Ferry from a Dr. Benjamin Morrison. He addressed the letter to Mr. D. Ferry at the 1707 Pere Marquette building. Now, why is this important? Well, this would indicate that David Ferry had an office in the Pere Marquette building, the same building that G. Ray Gill had an office, and the same building that, who was the guy that was arrested in the Dow Tex building?
Braden?
Yeah, same place,
Okay.
same floor, same building that Jim Braden had an office. Interesting.
Well,
The appeals board unanimously upheld Ferry's discharge from employment with Eastern. Again, this is finalized in the fall of 63.
yep. Now we're getting to assassination time.
Yep. Ferry makes a trip to Guatemala, allegedly due to Marcelo's deportation case. He again goes to Guatemala and then comes back to New Orleans on November 1st. November 22nd, 1963, Ferry was in federal court with Marcelo in New Orleans. Ferry called a Houston skating rink about his hours of admission, said he wanted to go skating. Ferry said he left New Orleans at 9 p.m. for Houston. Ferry, in an interview in 66, said he stayed in Vinton one of these two nights. Ferry said that he went to Marion James Johnson's Roadhouse or bar, so he spoke with Johnson. And remember, Ferry was banging a married dude in Houston at this time. Also on November 22nd, Ferry left New Orleans at 9 p.m. or shortly before 9 p.m., left with Melvin Coffee and Mazins for Houston and Galveston by automobile. Arrived in Houston at 4:30 to 5:30 a.m., checked into the Alamo Motel that afternoon, went to Winterland Skate Rink, met with Chuck Rowland, then went to Bel Air, owner not there, and then drove to Galveston. Ferry, Boboff, and Coffee checked into the Alamo Motel at 4:30 a.m. on November 23rd. This is on a motel registration card, and it's actually written over a November 22nd date, which is a little sus.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. Between 3:30 and 5:30, Ferry and his two friends went to Houston, the skating rink. Ferry told the manager he and his friends would be in and out of the rink that weekend, but the manager said he never saw him again. Apparently, they were in and out of other things that weekend, if you know what I'm saying. Did you find that thing yet?
Yeah, I have it. I didn't want to. Here, let me share it. You might have to put it up.
So I gotta take mine off and put yours up.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right. So this would be the flight plan on 4/8/63. This is an FAA document, and this is the Heidel, Lambert, and Diaz passenger manifest, if you will, with all of the flight numbers and such. Right here, the bottom right corner.
Yep. And what's the date on this? Just
This is April 8th, the
yeah,
Monday.
yeah. They got the date wrong.
Yeah.
4/8/63.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll down a little bit more. No, the other way. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from Hammond
To
to
Garland. That
Garland.
was it. That was it. That was it. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
There you have it.
There you have it. That's right there. And
Illegal.
by the way, if you haven't watched that episode, you need to go back. November 21st, 25.
Yep.
It is straight fire.
It
I
says right
think,
there. Total number of people on board 4. Name of pilot in command D. Ferry.
yes, sir.
So, I mean, it's right there in black and white, folks. You can't make it up.
No. It's not like the FAA is making up fake documents, you know. I don't
Right.
think this document has ever been disputed.
No.
So, all right. Thank you.
No. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, sir.
All right. Back in Hammond, again, where the plane took off from some months earlier. Ferry woke up his old buddy Thomas Compton with a big fat cock in his back in his dorm room at an early hour. Ferry told Compton that the police were at his home in New Orleans and were taking his things, possibly Ray Gill. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was about to say it's important to note that Ferry didn't go back to his apartment on the 24th, which would have been that Sunday. He went to some kid's hotel room. What was it? Tulane?
It was at their dorm room
Yeah, dorm room. I'm sorry, I said hotel room. Dorm room.
because he knew the cops wanted to talk to him.
Right, because he was stopping the whole way talking to G. Ray Gill. He knew. He had the heads up. Right.
Yeah. So they definitely checked this out, and he ended up talking to the FBI and the DA. Let's see. The caller named Jack, likely Martin, wanted to give Coleman some information alleging that Ferry had trained Oswald with the use of a telescopic rifle, had hypnotized Oswald, and he also said that Ferry had been in Dallas 2 weeks prior to the assassination. Donald Mitchell was the roommate's name who first came to the FBI. On the same day, Philip Stein, the roommate who actually took the call, came to the FBI office. He gave the same information. So basically, they got their story straight before Ferry went in there. Is the bottom line here.
Yeah, I think so.
November 25th, Coleman again called the FBI agent and told him that Ferry had left for Dallas on the afternoon of November 22nd. Coleman told the FBI the make of Ferry's car and that he had a plane. Also repeated Ferry Oswald information, possible CAP contact, which originally came, according to Jack Martin, from a guy by the name of W. Hardy Davis. Another homosexual shoe salesman in New Orleans, in NOLA, baby. At 4:30 p.m., Ferry and Gill appeared in the office of the New Orleans DA. Ferry was questioned by Assistant DA Klein and Officer Comstock. When shown a photo of Oswald, Ferry denied ever seeing him before. Ferry was then arrested following the above interview. In late afternoon, Coleman called the FBI and told them Ferry had been picked up and was going to be booked. During his interview with the DA's office, Ferry stated that he believed that Jack Martin was the motherfucker who made the allegations against him out of what Ferry called sheer malice and bullshittery.
Well, there was definitely malice at that point, that's for sure.
While in jail, Ferry apparently called NBC News and talked to John Corporan in New Orleans and said he wanted to talk. They spoke in jail for a half an hour. Ferry told him he had been maliciously framed here. The Secret Service, FBI, and Garrison's men interviewed Ferry again after Corporan came out. At 7 p.m., FBI agent, which I think this means Secret Service agent Rice, and not FBI agent, interviewed Ferry. Ferry related his employment with Eastern Airlines, blah, 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 blah. Denied he'd been in Dallas for 8 to 10. Yeah, I ain't been to Dallas in 8 or 10 years. What are you talking about? FBI agent Regis Kennedy interviewed Herman Coleman. Coleman said he'd been acquainted with Ferry during Coleman's past work as a reporter. Several years before, he'd done a story on Ferry. He said that he'd heard that Ferry had an Oswald connection, that a guy named Jack Martin had refreshed his memory about Ferry. Thank you very much, Jack Martin. Leighton Martins, Alvin Boboff, were arrested again for vagrancy, held for the FBI and the Secret Service, were at Ferry's house. Ferry wanted in connection with the assassination. Martins claimed Ferry a research librarian for Gill. Right. Sure. On November 25th, Jack Martin wrote a Richard Roby of the FAA, partly in reference to Ferry, suggesting Ferry had a connection with Oswald. Ferry supposedly was connected with LHO from the Cap, could have trained LHO with a rifle, was dumped because of certain pro-Castro activities, and helped LHO get into Marine Corps, which is interesting. And that's according to the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
On the night of November 25th, Ferry visited Oswald's landlady, Mrs. Jessie James Garner's home, asking for the whereabouts of my goddamn library card. Where's my library card?
Yeah.
G. Ray Gill stated that when Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested by DPD, he was carrying a library card with David Ferry's name on it. He said this to persons at Ferry's residence, which, Boboff and the other kid, Martins, knew talking to the FBI RE threats to the president on November 24th. During an interview with the FBI, Jack Martin recants his entire story. What the fuck? On November 26th.
Wow. Guy Bannister must have got, or G. Ray Gill must have gotten to him.
Or David Ferry. David Ferry is known to intimidate a witness or two, Joe.
That is true.
Boy, if you don't recant your motherfucking story, I'm going to put 2 shots up your ass. You're never going to forget. Ferry was interviewed by the FBI agents Ernest Wall and Theodore Viator at his home. Ferry discussed his reckless statements about JFK. Look, I may have said some things or two about JFK. I mean, I'm reckless, but I'm not a murderer. He denied having lent his library card to Oswald or anybody else and showed it to the agents. See, I found it. I got it. This is mine. He denied ever having known Oswald and denied training him with a rifle. Unfortunately for Ferry, a picture would soon materialize stating otherwise. But let's see. The FBI interviewed one David Magyar, a seaplane pilot from New Orleans. Magyar stated that he went to Mexico during these bad dates from September 24th to the 30th.
Oh, they are bad.
So did Oswald hop a ride from Magyar to Texas? Or maybe to Mexico? Who knows? But he denied knowing Oswald. He stated that he did, however, know Ferry, but only as a casual acquaintance. We're not butt buddies or nothing. He gave the name of George Piazza as a close friend of Ferry. He also stated that Piazza was probably a member of the Cap at the same time that Oswald was. Magyar also gave details about getting his Mexican visa and gave the name of Leon Guidry as having also known Ferry in the Cap and having been in charge of cadets. Interviewing agents were William Newborough and Kevin Harrigan. FBI file records. The FBI checked FAA records in Oklahoma for some reason pertaining to an aircraft registered to David Ferry in Kenner, Louisiana on May the 8th, 1947. Yada, yada, yada. Witnesses in Houston, Galveston, and Port Arthur were interviewed regarding Ferry's movements during November 22nd to the 25th. FBI agents doing the interviews were Carlos Kirby and Joseph Kilgore. November 29th, 1963. At night, the FBI interviewed Jack Martin again. He said he made up the whole Oswald Ferry story and called Coleman with his story. The FBI report noted that with this interview accomplished, the case involving Ferry was effectively closed a week after the assassination.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack Martin. So then we got some stuff about Jesse Core. he observed Oswald handing out FPCC leaflets. He identified him. Um, Basically, a bunch of bullshit. But here's where
Yeah.
the interesting part is, folks. We go from May 22nd, 1964, about items being taken from Ferry's home had been returned to him after they were photographed, and notes that the DA was to be consulted in this matter. And this was, of course, at the time of the Warren Commission, but I don't know if it was done at the behest, but Superintendent of the NOPD from Sergeant Fenner Sedgebeer, that's the greatest name in history, details the meeting with Assistant DA and police officers and their arrest and questioning of Ferry. Also deals with Ferry's movements during those days, states that Colonel Garrison of the Department of Public Safety, Texas Rangers, was contacted by phone shortly after the arrest of Ferry and given details of his arrest. The memo states that officers have been unable to link Ferry to the assassination. And then it jumps 3 years to February 22nd, 67, where Ferry is found dead in his house from, quote, natural causes, and not
Right.
not a nail file through the roof of his mouth to the base of his brain by James Files. By the way, there is an autopsy report on David Ferry, and they did look in his mouth, and nothing was there. But of course, that could be conspiracy too. But
Allegedly.
James Files also allegedly took out Marilyn Monroe, for the Kennedys.
Of course.
Yeah,
Because why wouldn't you just kill Kennedy, then take out Monroe for the Kennedys?
he's like the Ed Edwards of serial killers. This guy that supposedly killed all these people. He was the Golden State Killer. He was the Zodiac Killer. He was uh, the son of Sam. He helped John Wayne Gacy. Just he framed these people. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. Now the last thing we have here on this very elongated timeline of David Ferry is source advised Benny Casso and John Bacola, former business partners with David Ferry in the United Air Taxi business, believed connected with Carlos Marcello. No shit. William Gautreaux and Jacob Nastasi, partners in United Air Taxi business and acquainted with Marcello, according to FBI files. And that, Joe,
Is it?
is it.
Wow. So what'd you think of that, man?
Well, it goes from very detailed, very early. I'm a little disappointed with the big 3 year gap because in that big 3 year gap, Garrison was doing a lot of investigating about David Ferry. I think they started talking to him again in '65.
Right. There's nothing about the Garrison investigation in there.
Yeah, which is a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
But again, was apparently put together by the FBI, and handed over to Patricia Orr, HSCA, and then Joe stumbled across it at the archives the other day. So
I did, and I wasn't sure. It's very hard to cross-reference files when you come across them in those boxes. Is this online? Is this not? If you spend like 10, 20 minutes searching for it online, you're going to lose a lot of time, you know? So I just like, Rob's going to like this. I was thinking of
Palms
you.
down for David Ferry.
I was thinking of you, bud. But I thought it'd be interesting and a nice switch up, if you will, from maybe my archive story.
Rumor has it Dave Ferry also a switch hitter.
Is that a comment there?
No, it's just for me.
Oh, okay. I was
He's
like,
also sometimes the pitcher, sometimes the catcher. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, all right. That's you win comment of the night. I haven't seen Scott in here, so
Thank you. I'm here all night. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, there's a
And
lot more.
some of these
Okay.
comments before we go, Joe.
Yeah.
Um, Heidel shows up on 11/23/63. Bart Camp has that shit nailed down. Uh, yes, the ID, when they start talking about the ID, when they find the Klein's order form, I get all that. But he was using that alias in communication with Vincent T. Lee of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. He wasn't claiming to be the person, I don't think. And I think we have uh, his Fair Play for Cuba Committee uh, membership card,
Hmm.
where the name Heidel is listed as the president or secretary or whatever it was.
Right. You're talking about the interrogation clause, right?
Yeah. Now I understand that all of these documents and all of this paperwork didn't come out until the 11/23/63. But I think, unless you believe in the gigantic, great grand conspiracy of things that, on the 23rd, that the FBI forged all these documents and all these order slips and all of this mail stuff and all of this, in a couple hours, um, that you can backdate the acquisition of this alias to when he first made his selective service card, his fake AJ Alec Heidel service card, when he was working at Jagger's Child Stovall, alongside a guy that was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list for doing what, Joe? Forging
Sir.
documents and creating an alias for himself.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question. I was looking at comments.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense that Oswald would have created this alias when he was working at Jagger's Child Stovall. He created his fake Secret Service card or selective service card. And again, you have the name on David Ferry's thing, and sure, we can say it was a big CIA plot and they're behind all this stuff, but it's not pointing in that direction for me. But I don't know. It's certainly worthy of discussion for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had a fascinating life. You can't deny that. For sure. Oh,
Well, Claude, you need to get down in the dirty streets, as they call them, down there in Galveston, with the dregs of society, and see if you can find some 90-year-old gay dude who might have known David Ferry, maybe partied with David Ferry back in the day.
yeah.
Probably ain't many of them left, but you never know. He did like them young. So if they were young back in '63, they might still be alive, Joe.
That is true. That is a very fair point. That is a very fair point. It's not out of the realm of possibility, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe, excellent job on your documenting your trip to the archives for sure. Thank you for sharing all that with us.
No, no
Very interesting.
problem. And there will be more to come, hopefully.
As
And
David Ferry would say, more to come.
uh, but yeah, it was interesting. It was exhaustive. It was fun. It was frustrating. It was eye opening. It was a learning experience. A lot of adjectives to describe it.
Did you feel like David Ferry had worn you out for a couple of days after being there?
Yes, I feel like David Ferry definitely wore me out. I think that's a great analogy because I came home and I slept like longer than I've slept ever. But it was good times. Thank you again to Andrew, uh, Mark, Paul, and John for their efforts and flying and driving from different countries to come in this adventure. And you never know. Maybe there'll be another one at some point. But
You
for
never
now, For now, I'm archived out, man.
I
I
hear you.
am, I am archived out. So let me see if I could grab the damn dough.
Yeah, grab the damn dog. Dino, get your ass in here, boy.
But he said, "Come to
Time
Bourbon
to
Street
shake
and
the
I'll show
umbrella,
you what I
baby.
think of the case."
Folks, thank you for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you for listening about Joe's trip to the archives and the interesting Ferry document that he found. It doesn't really paint David Ferry in a very good light. Not a good guy, Fred Litwin. But you live and you learn, right?
The greatest
Yes,
lies
sir.
are told in the
There
name of
she
truth.
is. Hi,
The greatest
Ruby.
crimes are committed in the name of
Ruby.
justice. The quotation of Jim Garrison's.
She always looks like
It
she's
could be used
smiling.
for him or against
Ruby.
him in this strange case. Good night.
All right, folks, be looking out for a book review coming. Be looking out for another random research ramblings with Rob to be coming, and look out for it's coming hard next Wednesday for part 2 of Joe's trip to the archives. Until then, we'll see you then. Peace and steak sub grease with cheese whiz. Of course.
Whiz.